I never thought I would be the one to say this on camera, but 3I Atlas has returned, and this time it didn't just pass by Earth, it altered our orbit again. Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Comment your city name below and tell me if you've noticed anything unusual in the night sky. Strange lights, atmospheric distortions, a feeling that something fundamental has shifted. NASA is collecting data from civilian observations worldwide, and your input may be more critical than you realize. What I'm about to share may change the way you see humanity's place in the universe. Now, let me be clear, I am a theoretical physicist. I have spent my entire career studying the laws that govern space, time, and matter. I have written about parallel universes, wormholes, and the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence with the calm detachment of someone who deals in mathematics and probability. But what I witnessed 3 weeks ago in the secure observation chamber at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory was not theoretical. It was not a simulation. And it has left me questioning everything I thought I understood about our solar system and our species. 3I Atlas. The designation alone should tell you this object is not from here. The I stands for interstellar. It came from beyond our sun's influence, from the vast emptiness between stars, traveling at a velocity that defied conventional explanations. When it was first detected in by the Atlas Survey Telescope in Hawaii, astronomers celebrated it as only the second confirmed interstellar visitor after Oumuamua. But unlike Oumuamua, which triggered years of debate about its strange acceleration and unusual shape, 3I Atlas behaved predictably. It followed the mathematics. It obeyed Newton's laws. It was, by all appearances, just a comet, ancient ice and rock from another star system, making a brief transit through ours. That assessment was wrong. I was brought into a classified briefing. The message was delivered by a senior mission director I've known for 2 decades, someone not prone to exaggeration or panic. He told me that 3I Atlas had returned, not on a predictable elliptical orbit, which would have been impossible given its hyperbolic trajectory, but through what appeared to be a controlled deceleration and course correction. The object had re-entered our solar system from a vector that made no gravitational sense. And then, during its closest approach to Earth, our planet's orbital velocity changed by 0.003%. You might think that's insignificant, a rounding error. But in celestial mechanics, there are no rounding errors. Earth's orbit is the product of 4.6 billion years of gravitational equilibrium. It does not shift unless acted upon by a force of extraordinary magnitude. The moon causes tidal friction that gradually slows our rotation, lengthening our days by about 1.7 milliseconds per century. The gravitational influence of Jupiter and Venus creates subtle oscillations in our orbital eccentricity over tens of thousands of years. These are understood, predictable. What 3I Atlas did was not predictable. The alteration was detected by the International Earth Rotation and Reference Systems Service, a network of atomic clocks and satellite positioning systems that monitor our planet's movement with nanosecond precision. On April 14th at 0347 Universal Time, Earth's velocity increased by approximately 0.82 meters per second for 6 hours and 11 minutes. Then it stopped. Our orbit had been nudged outward by roughly 430 kilometers, not enough to affect our climate or seasons in any immediately perceptible way, but enough to be undeniable. Something with mass or energy or a technology we don't possess had pushed us. I stood in that briefing room looking at the telemetry data and felt a chill I haven't experienced since I was a young student learning about the heat death of the universe. This was not a natural event. Comets do not generate thrust fields. Asteroids do not emit directional gravitational waves. And yet, the data showed exactly that, a localized distortion in spacetime emanating from 3I Atlas that briefly interacted with Earth's gravitational well and altered our trajectory. The question everyone in that room was asking, but no one wanted to say aloud, was simple: why? Let me take you back to what we know about 3I Atlas, or thought we knew. It was discovered on September 2nd, 2019 by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a robotic survey designed to detect near-Earth objects. Its trajectory indicated an origin far outside our solar system, possibly from the Oort cloud of another star, ejected millions of years ago by gravitational interactions and sent wandering through the galaxy. Spectroscopic analysis showed it had a composition consistent with primordial cometary material, water ice, carbon monoxide, methane. Its brightness fluctuations suggested rotation. Its coma, the glowing cloud of gas and dust surrounding it, behaved normally as solar radiation sublimated its surface. Everything pointed to a mundane explanation, an interstellar comet, rare but not extraordinary, except for one detail that most people overlooked. 3I Atlas was moving too fast. Even accounting for the gravitational boost it received passing near the Sun, its velocity exceeded escape speed for the Milky Way galaxy itself. That meant, mathematically, it could not be gravitationally bound to any star. It was a rogue object, untethered, moving through the cosmos with enough energy to eventually leave our galaxy entirely and drift into the intergalactic void. Objects like that don't just happen. To accelerate something to galactic escape velocity requires either a supernova explosion, a close encounter with a black hole, or something else, something we don't have a name for. When 3I Atlas returned, it was no longer following the trajectory we calculated. It had changed course. And when NASA's Deep Space Network locked onto it with radar, they detected something that should not exist, a structured electromagnetic emission, not random radiation from solar-wind interaction, not the chaotic noise of a comet shedding material, but a signal, a pattern, a sequence of prime numbers repeated in intervals of 1.618 seconds, the golden ratio, phi. If you've studied mathematics, you know that phi appears throughout nature in the spiral of a nautilus shell, the branching of trees, the proportions of the human body. It is a fundamental constant of growth and order in biological systems. To find it embedded in a signal from an interstellar object is not a coincidence. It is a marker, a declaration. We are here. We are intelligent. We understand the universe the way you do. I have spent sleepless nights considering what this means, not just the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence that, frankly, I've always considered statistically inevitable, but the intention behind this contact. Why would an advanced civilization send an object into our solar system, have it alter Earth's orbit, and then broadcast a mathematical signature that unmistakably signals awareness? There are three possibilities, and none of them are comforting. The first is that this is a probe, a von Neumann machine perhaps, sent by a long-dead civilization to explore the galaxy autonomously. It may have been traveling for millions of years, programmed to investigate star systems with signs of life. Its alteration of our orbit could be an experiment, a test. Perhaps it is measuring how we respond, whether we notice, whether we understand. The second possibility is that this is a warning. There are theories in astrobiology about something called the galactic quarantine hypothesis. The idea is that intelligent civilizations, once they reach a certain level of technological development, are deliberately isolated by more advanced species to prevent them from spreading into the galaxy prematurely. If humanity is approaching a threshold, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, genetic engineering, perhaps 3I Atlas is a boundary marker, a way of saying, you are being watched. Do not go further. The third possibility is the one that terrifies me most, that 3I Atlas is not here to observe or warn, but to prepare, to adjust, to make our planet suitable for something that is coming. Think about what an orbit change means. Earth's distance from the sun determines our climate, our seasons, the stability of our biosphere. A shift of a few hundred kilometers is negligible now, but if it were repeated, if 3I Atlas or something like it returned every few years and continued nudging us outward, within a century we would be in a different thermal equilibrium, colder winters, shorter growing seasons, an ice age not triggered by volcanic eruptions or Milankovitch cycles, but by deliberate manipulation. Why would anyone do that? Perhaps because a colder Earth is more suitable for a different kind of biology, or perhaps because a destabilized humanity, struggling with food shortages, resource conflicts, societal collapse, is less of a threat to whatever comes next. I know how this sounds. I am a scientist. I have built my reputation on evidence, on falsifiability, on staying within the boundaries of what can be tested and measured, but the evidence is undeniable. 3I Atlas is not a comet. It is a craft or a device or an intelligence we are only beginning to comprehend, and it is interacting with us in ways that suggest foresight, planning, purpose. NASA has not made this public. The data is classified under national security protocols, shared only with a handful of space agencies and defense departments. The official statement, if you search for it, describes the orbital perturbation as a minor gravitational anomaly under investigation. But those of us in the briefing room know the truth. We are not in control. Something else is. And now 3I Atlas is moving again. As of this recording, it is accelerating outward past the orbit of Mars, heading toward the asteroid belt. Its trajectory suggests it will slingshot around Jupiter in approximately 8 months. And if the pattern holds, if the mathematics of its previous course corrections are any indication, it will return to Earth again in 2027. During our northern hemisphere winter, what will it do then? Will it alter our orbit again, pushing us further from the sun? Will it broadcast another signal, more complex, more direct? Or will it simply pass by, indifferent to the chaos it has left in its wake? I've asked myself whether we should attempt contact, whether we should send a message, a probe, some signal of our own to indicate that we understand, that we are aware. But I am haunted by the words of the physicist Stephen Hawking, who once warned that any civilization capable of traveling between the stars would view us the way we view bacteria, as something to be studied perhaps, or exploited, but not as equals. If 3I Atlas is a scout, then responding may be an invitation, and we have no idea what we are inviting. There is also the question of why now? Why, after 4.6 billion years of Earth's existence, after 300,000 years of Homo sapiens, after only 70 years of radio transmissions and space exploration, has something arrived from interstellar space and begun altering our planet? Is it a response to our presence? Did our technology, our satellites, our nuclear tests, our electromagnetic noise act as a beacon, drawing the attention of something that had been waiting? Or is the timing coincidental? Is 3I Atlas part of a larger network, a grid of interstellar objects moving through the galaxy on trajectories set long before our sun even formed? Perhaps we are not special. Perhaps Earth is simply the latest in a sequence of worlds being adjusted, cataloged, prepared for some purpose we cannot yet fathom. I think about the Fermi paradox, the question of why. In a galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars, we have never detected any sign of intelligent life. There are many proposed solutions. Perhaps life is rare. Perhaps intelligence is fragile and self-destructs before it can spread. Or perhaps, as some have suggested, advanced civilizations become so different from us, so transformed by technology, artificial intelligence, or post-biological evolution that we wouldn't recognize them even if they were here. But what if the answer is simpler? What if they are here? What if they have always been here, moving through our solar system in the form of objects we mistake for asteroids and comets, observing us with patience that spans millennia, waiting for us to reach a particular stage of development before they reveal themselves? 3. Atlas may not be the first. Oumuamua, the cigar-shaped object that passed through our system in 2017, exhibited anomalous acceleration that some scientists attributed to outgassing, the release of trapped volatiles as it warmed near the sun. But no outgassing plume was ever detected, no cometary tail, just a smooth, elongated object that tumbled through space in a way that suggested artificial construction. The astronomer Avi Loeb of Harvard proposed it might be a light sail, a thin, reflective sheet propelled by radiation pressure. His colleagues dismissed the idea as speculative, But what if he was right? What if Oumuamua and 3I Atlas are part of the same reconnaissance mission? What if dozens, hundreds of these objects are moving through the galaxy right now, passing through star systems, scanning for biosignatures, for technosignatures, for signs of intelligence that might one day pose a threat or an opportunity? I find myself returning to a concept from my own work in theoretical physics. The idea that intelligence at a certain level of advancement becomes indistinguishable from the fundamental forces of nature. A civilization that has mastered space-time, that can manipulate gravity and energy at will, would not need rockets or spaceships in the way we imagine them. They could encode themselves into the fabric of the universe, into fields, into particles, into structures that move between stars as naturally as light itself. What if 3I Atlas is not a machine, but a life form? Not biological in the sense we understand, but a form of organized complexity that exists at the intersection of matter and information, a consciousness distributed across its structure capable of thought, of intention, of purpose? I realize how far I've drifted from the certainties of peer-reviewed science, but certainty is a luxury we no longer have. The data forces us into uncomfortable territory. And as a physicist, as someone who has dedicated his life to understanding the universe, I have a responsibility to follow the evidence wherever it leads, even if it leads to conclusions that shatter our sense of security. Because here is what I know with absolute confidence: we are not alone. We have never been alone. And whatever is watching us has just made its presence known in a way that cannot be ignored. The question now is not whether we are ready for contact. The question is whether we have any choice in the matter. In the weeks since the briefing, I have noticed something strange. Colleagues I've worked with for years, people I trust, have become quiet. Conversations that would normally involve open debate and speculation now end in uncomfortable silences. There is a fear, unspoken but palpable, that we are standing at a threshold we cannot cross back over. That once humanity fully understands what 3I Atlas represents, everything changes. Our religions, our philosophies, our entire conception of human importance in the cosmos, all of it will have to be rewritten. And perhaps that is the point. Perhaps this is not an invasion or a warning, but an initiation, a way of forcing us to evolve, to expand our thinking, to recognize that the universe is far stranger and more populated than we ever allowed ourselves to believe. I am reminded of something Carl Sagan once said: the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the universe to know itself. If that is true, then perhaps 3I Atlas is another way for the universe to know itself. A different kind of intelligence shaped by different evolutionary pressures, reaching out across the void, not to conquer or destroy, but to connect, to communicate. Or perhaps I am being naive. Perhaps the cold logic of survival that governs life on Earth also governs life among the stars. Perhaps 3I Atlas is the vanguard of something that views our planet as a resource, our biosphere as an inconvenience, our civilization as a temporary obstacle to be removed. I don't know. And that uncertainty, that profound not knowing, is something I am struggling to accept. But here is what I do know. This channel, and others like it, will continue to track 3I Atlas. We will analyze every piece of data NASA releases, every trajectory update, every anomaly. We will share what we learn as openly as the constraints of classification allow. Because if there was ever a moment in human history when we needed transparency, when we needed collective awareness and preparation, it is now. Follow this channel as we continue decoding the universe's final warnings. Not because I have all the answers, I don't, but because the questions we are now facing are too important to be left to governments and agencies alone. This is a human issue, a species-level issue, and every one of you has a right to know what is happening above your heads in the silence of space as something from beyond our world continues to alter the destiny of our planet. So I will ask you again, have you noticed anything unusual? Strange lights in the night sky? Objects that move in ways that defy explanation? A feeling, however irrational, that something has shifted? If so, comment below. Share your city, your observations, your thoughts, because if 3i Atlas is watching us, then perhaps the best thing we can do is watch back, with clear eyes, with open minds, and with the courage to accept that we are no longer the only intelligence in this corner of the galaxy. The orbit of Earth has been changed. The mathematics are undeniable, and the object responsible is still out there, moving through our solar system with a purpose we are only beginning to understand. What comes next may depend on whether we are willing to face that truth, or whether we choose to look away, pretending the universe is still the safe, empty place we once believed it to be. But the universe has never been empty, and it has never been safe. It has only been waiting for us to notice.